What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Across the Board, sponsored by MoneyBall Metrics. You have your host, myself, Alpha Dog Bets, here with just Ben today. We have a special edition of the Alpha Ben Show. We are excited to get back in to the NBA. We are excited to be back on here with you guys. Quickly over to the comments before we check in with Ben. We have Bill Norman, who's here every day. Bill saying, "What's up, fellas? Happy Trump Day." Guys, we're going to put this out right away. We are going to make this show as non-political as we can. We want to focus on sports today. We all know what's going on currently in the environment. We all know what just happened yesterday. So we're not going to be bringing up those comments or talking about it. This show's strictly here to be about sports, and we want to keep it that way. So all of our viewers, no matter what side you are on, can have a good show and get back to some normalcy. Ben, happy Wednesday, November 6th. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, it's a good day. Obviously, I'm not usually here on Tuesdays, so I'm happy to be here with you guys. Well, I guess just you today on a Tuesday. It's fun. Usually I'm just Monday, Friday, so I'm excited.
I'm going to be honest with you, Ben. It's Wednesday. But, if you want to think
it's shows how off I am this week. Well, either way, I'm not usually here Wednesday, so it's fun to be here on a Wednesday. And if it was Tuesday, I'd be happy too.
Absolutely. We have a great slate. We're going to be breaking down 5 NBA games today. But before we do, we are going to go over the recap, how we did yesterday. I'm going to start here because it's very easy for me. I took the day off. I told all my guys, get out and vote. Do what you have to do. It's election day, so no plays for me. Ben, do you have any action yesterday?
Yeah, I did. I won my free max that I put out. Other than that, I did actually pretty crappy. I went like 2 and 4, something like that. So not the best day, but we did hit our big play. So that's something.
There you go. Well, Ben, I don't think we have to take up any time. There's not much of a recap for us to do. So let's just jump right into the meat and potatoes. Let's get into the first game we're going to be breaking down today, which is going to be the Orlando Magic taking on the Indiana Pacers. Couple big storylines here. Injury bug has hit Orlando early this year. They do not have Paolo Banchero. He will be out till at least December 8th, so he will be out for at least a month. On the other side, few injuries here like Aaron Nesmith. They still do not have a date he is going to return, but it will be sooner rather than later. Isaiah Jackson is out for the season. James Wiseman out for the season. So a couple injuries in this game. Quickly seeing how these teams have performed against the spread this year, and one of these teams sticks out like a sore thumb. Orlando is 2-6 this year against the spread. They're the second worst team in the NBA against the spread, and now they don't have Pablo Banchero. Over to you, Ben. What do you think about this one? Do you think not having Paulo is going to be a big issue? And what do you think about this Magic team starting 2-6 against the spread?
Yeah, it's interesting because the Magic kind of came out the gates early, and now they've lost 4 in a row. Obviously, part of that is Banchero, but then also losing Wendell Carter. Like, a lot of their size has all of a sudden gone out the window now that you got to kind of play some small ball. And, that honestly might sort of fit into Pacers style. I think Miles Turner is going to have a good night tonight. But at the end of the day, when these guys met actually not too many games ago, they met in Orlando, and Orlando was -5.5. And now the line is pretty much flipped, of course, obviously because of the injury to Banchero and everything. Because you look at that game, the Magic won it by 4 points at home. They didn't quite cover. Banchero in that game had 50 points. 50. He was pretty much all their offense in that game, and they only ended up winning by 4. And so now you're taking that element out, and you're going to Indiana, where the Pacers have had, at least in recent form, looks a little bit better. So I do think this is a Pacers play for me. I think it's a Pacers -5 all the way. I think without Banchero and that kind of offensive spark he brings, the Pacers are going to run you out of the gym. They're a very explosive offense when they're on their game, and it looks like they kind of are right now off that win over Dallas. That was a very good game. Kind of gives me some confidence playing them tonight, just thinking that they're going to be the much better offensive team.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. When you take a look at how the Magic have done recently, they haven't even been competitive. That's to put it lightly. They did lose by 16 to the Thunder. The game before that, I can't even do the math off the top of my head, 108-85. I believe that's 23-point loss there. Game before that, they lost by 11. So their last 3 losses have all been by at least double digits. OKC is a great team. Cleveland's been playing good as well, and so is Dallas, so they have been playing some good competition. But one thing I like to talk about on this show is when we look at teams that have a common opponent. So the Magic played Dallas on the 3rd of this month, and the Pacers played Dallas on the 4th of this month. The Pacers won by 7. The Magic lost by 23. They have no Banchero. I think you guys know where I'm going with this game. I'm all over the Pacers -5 at home. They should be able to get it done. I know Tyrese Halliburton has started slow this year, but he's starting to get his game back together. And this Pacers team is built to be a good team in the Eastern Conference. They should be a good team all year long. And with the Magic missing a couple key pieces, especially Paolo Banchero, I really do think this is going to be a double-digit win by the Pacers. I'm going to let it out early. It is one of my best bets today. Ben, let's keep it moving. Over to the comments before we do. Marcus is here saying, where's our boy JD? We miss him too. He should be here in the chat. I believe he will be back tomorrow. He had something personal to take care of today. He's fine. Nobody worry. He just needed a day to take care of a couple things. So JD will be back, but you have me and Ben today. Are we not enough for you, bro? Come on. Let's keep it moving. Ben, second game we're going over today is going to be the Warriors-Celtics game. There's a ton of storylines in this game. I'll intro this one quickly. We all know who the coach of the Warriors is. Steve Kerr. We all know who's playing for the Celtics. Jason Tatum, who was not played very frequently in the Olympics, and that was Jason Tatum. Ben, I'm going to start with you. What do you think about that? Do you think this is a game? Jaylen Brown is not playing. Kristaps Porzingis is not playing. So this is a chance for Jason Tatum to really stick it to the guy who kept him on the end of the bench. Go in. What do you think?
Well, you preface that perfectly because that's exactly what I was going to bring up in this game, and it's exactly why I'm going with maybe the squarest play in the NBA tonight, just because what you said. I'm taking Jason Tatum over 29.5 points. He's up to 30.5 in a few places. I still like it at 30.5 up to 31.5. You mentioned it. No Jaylen Brown the last two games. Now, to be fair, the last game was a blowout. Jason Tatum only played 30 minutes against the Hawks. He still had 28 points. He was just under this line. And that was a complete blowout. So he only played 30 minutes that game. He doesn't usually play 30 minutes, except for when it's a blowout, which they have had this year. But I don't think this game's going to be a blowout. The Warriors on their own right, even without Curry, before they were doing okay. Now he's back again. They're playing like a well-oiled machine. They've only lost one game themselves. You have two teams with only one loss. I think this is going to be a good game because the Warriors do have some good size with Jackson Davis and Draymond Green, and now there's no Porzingis. So I think this is actually going to be a close game. So therefore, I think Jason Tatum's going to play good minutes tonight. In fact, you know what? Steve Kerr didn't play him. Maybe Jason Tatum's going to get like 48 minutes tonight just to stick it to him. I don't think so. But I do think he's going to play more than 30 minutes, meaning he should pass this line. It seems like in games that he's playing those high 30s this year, the only time he's only gone under in one game that he's played over like 36, 38 minutes. And that was the game against the Bucks, and he shot horribly. But they still won. So, and they had Jaylen Brown in that game. So, without Brown, I really think he's just going to be volume for Tatum all night.
Yeah, and that's a good question that we have here from KO Locks. Shout out Spencer from KO Locks. He's on this show all the time. He is one of the people inside Moneyball Metrics, and he's asking how many shots we think Tatum's getting up tonight. 25? 30. I would agree. I think he's going to get a ton of shots. And with the roster how it is tonight, no Porzingis, no Jaylen Brown, it's got to be the Tatum show. And he's the type of guy, he's going to take this personally. I love your bet of over 29.5. You can also take Tatum to be the highest point scorer in the game at plus 100 right now as well. I don't hate either of those looks. But for the actual game line, I'm going to be taking the Celtics minus the 6. I do think that this game, the Celtics are going to want to show up and absolutely back Jason Tatum and then put up points all game long. If the Celtics do get a big lead, I don't anticipate them taking their foot off the gas. I think it's personal. I think these guys want to play for Jason Tatum. They do love him. They want to show him that he's their boy, and they're going to put on tonight for him. I think the Celtics have an absolutely massive performance, and I think that Jason Tatum also has an absolutely massive performance. We do have a bet coming in from our guy, JD, who is here in chat. I told you guys he would be here in chat. Yet again, everything's good with JD. He will be back here either tomorrow or the following day. But he's also agreeing Tatum over 29.5. All three of us love that. So if you're interested in some player props today, I definitely think that's a good one. We should see points in this game as well. Ben, let's keep it moving, my friend. Next game we have on the slate today is going to be the Lakers versus the Grizzlies. Storylines in this game. Injury report for the Lakers. Literally everyone feels like they're on this injury report. And everyone is a game time decision. So this might be a game you might want to wait on because Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Davis, all true game time decisions, all three critical players for this team. Jared Vanderbilt is out, and so is Christian Wood. So either way, they probably will have a shortened roster. But then you take a look at the Grizzlies, and they're hurting too. Luke Kennard, true game time decision. John Conchar, true game time decision. Cam Spencer, who I hate talking about, he's out. Vince Williams out. Marcus Smart out. So we're seeing a lot of injuries in this game and a lot of uncertainty. And what do you think about this one?
Yeah, so just with the hospital report you got on both sides, I don't think I can really go with the side, at least right now, since we don't have a lot of news. And like you said, you have some true questionables, some game time decisions for the Lakers. So I think you just kind of have to not play a side here, at least from my end. I'm not confident either way. However, I am going to go to a prop and a player I think this is the fourth time I'm taking him this year, and he's hit in 3 of the 4. Zach Edey. You can still get him at 9.5 points with some juice. You can get him 10.5 at plus money. I love both of them. He's coming off a season high minutes. He played 29 minutes against the Nets. He's coming off a season and, well, now career because he's a rookie, high points of 25 last time out. He's gaining confidence. He's an absolute unit at 7'4". And one of those questionables for the Lakers tonight is one of their best defensive players, AD. If Anthony Davis doesn't go, now I still like this bet. Even if he plays, it's obviously going to be a little bit scarier, considering that he's their best defensive big. But, there's a chance I don't think he plays tonight. And if he doesn't, this prop is probably going to end up finishing higher on the board. And Edie could have 20 points again, 20 plus points again, because you look at who's behind him, Jackson Hayes, Rui Hachimura, like none of these guys I think are guys that can stop Zach Edey for as much time as he's getting. And, seeing him get a season high in minutes last game gives me some confidence that we're going to start to see him a little bit more in that lineup, especially with some injuries. So with how these injuries line up, I think Edie's going to have another good night. I've loved taking his props this year. He's been cashing this one for us. He's averaging 11 points this year, and he's sitting at 9.5, 10.5. So I think this is just another underlooked spot. Not many people are taking Edey.
I love that as well. And you know me, Ben, probably more than most people, how much I love Zach Edey's game. I've been following him for years. What did you think last week when he got the block, ran up court, and hit a pull-up three, and a heat check step-up three? What did you think?
That's awesome. I think there's going to be a lot of talk. I know some people were skeptical of him coming to the NBA just with how he moved and his athleticism. That was something that could always be worked on, and we're already seeing it with him hitting a walk-up three. Like, these players that come out of college, just because he's tall and didn't look as athletic in college, that's just how he played there. Like, that was his role. He was playing with a bunch of smaller college kids. Like, I never thought he was going to be that bad in the NBA. Just because that's kind of what they work on once they get there. Like, your game changes from college to NBA. So I think he's going to have a great career in the NBA. I think it's going to be very interesting seeing Diamond Dog say Rookie of the Year. Between Dalton Connect and Zach Edey, I think it's going to be close. And then you have, I think Sarr's doing pretty good too. So
I have it right here, the current odds here. If you think Dalton Connect has a real shot at this, it might be a good time to take that because he's coming in at a plus 1,600. He has huge odds at the moment for Rookie of the Year. Edey still is the chalk, just to go over Diamond Dog's comment. Edey is the chalk. He's only coming in at plus 400. And wow. Bub Carrington of the Wizards is now the second favorite at plus 450. So where's the rate, Sarr is third at plus 550.
Okay.
After is Zachary Richeray. I butchered that name, but you know who I'm talking about. He's plus 750, and then it's Dalton Connect and Stephen Castle at a plus 1,600. And actually, to be honest, a lot of the board. So Dalton Connect, Stephen Castle, Ryan Dunn, Jamal Shed, Yves Misi, all are at that plus 1,600. It seems like those are the guys that are doing okay. They just gave them that plus 1,600 if they're doing okay. Quickly, I'll go over to my pick on this game. You kind of put it perfectly, Ben. It's so tough until we have a little bit more news about the injuries in this one. If I were to take something now, I would lean the Lakers on the money line at a plus 120 because both teams are pretty banged up. But until we get a little bit more information, I am going to hold off. So make sure you guys stay tuned to Moneyball Metrics and to my page and Ben's page. We probably will have some action on this game, but we'll probably have to wait just a little bit. And guys, you know that about the NBA. We are back in NBA season, and a lot of games in the NBA, you have to wait. It's just how it is. You have to wait to get injury news. It's the NBA. Everyone knows that sometimes you have to wait all the way until 6 p.m. Eastern to get some of the news that you need, but that's how it is. Some games you are able to bet early because you know who's going to play and who's not. This is one I would definitely recommend waiting a little bit. Guys, anybody have any other questions? We're happy to get to it. There's only the two of us, so we're going a little quick today. So we still have time. We still have a couple more games to break down as well as best bets. But if you have any questions about any games, there's a ton of great action today. Drop them in. Me and Ben are here for you guys to answer every single question we can. With that being said, let's keep it rolling, Ben. Two could be the best game of the night. Probably the best two teams playing each other tonight, which is going to be the Thunder, who are taking on the Nuggets. Over to the injury report. Isaiah Hartenstein has still not made his debut for the Thunder. He's projected to be out for at least another month. They're going to be without Jalen Williams as well and Kenrich Williams. On the other side, seems like it's a pretty frequent occurrence for the Nuggets. Jamal Murray has been ruled out for tonight. Aaron Gordon is also out as well. So this is a pretty injury-riddled game as well, especially on the Nuggets side. Not having Jamal Murray or Aaron Gordon probably weighs more on this team than the Thunder not having Isaiah Hartenstein and Jalen Williams due to the depth that the Thunder currently have. Ben, what do you like in this matchup?
Yeah, so this is somewhat interesting because of the no Jamal Murray thing, and they're playing probably the team that might end up in the NBA Finals this year. The Thunder are rolling. We already saw it last year with them, and now this year it looks like they're even making another stride. But at the end of the day, I think I'm going to have to look at Nikola Jokic prop because the last 2 games he's played without Jamal Murray, he's gone over his points, rebounds, and assists. Tonight, it's at 49.5, which I think is interesting because the Thunder do have a good defense. But you look at from a size angle, like he's going to be able to probably body Chet. Like he's going to be able to body Chet. And
not probably. Yeah. The weight that he has alone, he should be able to move Chet all around the paint tonight.
And the last 2 games without Murray, because Murray kind of had the shooting bug too. Like they weren't necessarily relying on him, but he hasn't played heavy minutes because Utah. So they've played 2 games now without Jamal Murray. Utah was a blowout. He only played 30 minutes. He still got to 52 points, rebounds, and assists. And then Toronto next game, they nearly lost that game, but he only played 38 minutes and he still flew over 50 points, rebounds, and assists. So yeah, this might be a more defensive game. Oklahoma City is obviously a much better team than Toronto and Utah. But you look at a usage standpoint and him having now 11.7 rebounds or assists averaged in November in 3 games so far. Like he's doing it in every stat category. And you're only getting it at 49.5 because of this matchup, but he's going to body Holmgren. I bet he goes for 30 plus points tonight. So you're basically banking on him to get a triple double, which is more than doable for him. He already has 4 this year in 7 games. So I love that line for him. You can get him at 49.5 PRA or even 50.5. I love both.
I like it. And before I let you off the hook here, we have a couple questions about props in this game. We all know you're one of the best prop guys out there. So let's review these before I go over my pick on this one. SGA over points. Let me pull up the live total for that now. He's not going to have Murray guarding him, so that's a good thing. I do think blowout factor could be an issue in this game by taking a lot of props. Currently, SGA's points prop is at 28.5. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, that's interesting. I like it. I do like that because he's kind of
like it, don't love it, or love it?
I don't love it because last year it seemed like he was always automatic for 30, and this year I think his role is a bit more of a facilitator in the sense that they don't need him to be the main scorer. Like he is most of the time, but they don't need him necessarily as much as I think they did last year, kind of being that star guy, which he still is. It's just like they have a lot of other playmakers now who've kind of stepped up into more of a scoring role, especially Chet and then even Jalen Williams, like those guys. So I don't hate it. I don't hate it, but
I don't love it or hate it either. I would probably recommend looking into points assists if you were to take anything on him. I think taking his assists, because I do think Chet is going to have to stretch out the paint tonight. If they do put Jokic on him on the defensive side, that's a big advantage for Chet for catch and shoot, especially being outside the perimeter. So I do like SGA to get some points tonight, but I would take the points and assists over rather than taking just the points personally. Over to Joe. Joe is saying, how do we feel about Tim Hardaway Jr. over points today? I vaguely remember him just blowing up last game, right, Joe? He had a monster performance last game for Detroit. Let's take a look at his current total here.
Because the Hornets defense is horrible. And Asar Thompson's out again. So actually, that might be a really good find there.
11.5. 11.5 is his total. So what do you think about that one?
11.5 and Asar Thompson's out again, which means Hardaway's going to get, how many minutes? Yeah, he got a decent minutes bump. He played 32. So, I mean, in that kind of offense, obviously the Pistons are, not maybe the greatest team, but they've looked better this year. And the Hornets have a horrible defense. So actually this game could end 130 to 131 in a game you'd think Tim Hardaway could go over.
I like it. I like that more than I like just taking the regular SGA points. I think Hardaway does have a big performance. It's funny you asked that, Joe. One of my buddies just did message me about this the other night. He was saying, do you think Tim Hardaway is a guy who's going to have a big year? I thought he was basically out of the league. It's a big year for Tim Hardaway. He's at the end of his career. Can he find a role being a spot-up three-point shooter like he's been most of his career and extend his career? Looks like he has been able to, and he has been a big player for them so far. So him to get only 12 points is not out of the equation. I definitely do lean that. Over to Hot Toddy. We appreciate your comment, brother. Christian Braun props tonight. What do we think? I'm not a big Christian Braun props guy. There's nothing tonight that makes me think that I'd want to take him in this matchup. Ben, anything from you on Christian Braun?
Yeah, maybe him to take a charge or something. Can you take that?
Right.
No, but yeah, I mean, defensively, I don't know. He's a great defensive player. But I just don't love his props from a volume set. I don't like usually now, unless it's matchup wise, I just don't like taking guys unless I see a role that says otherwise. I don't like taking guys that I have to guess their volume in the game.
Yeah.
Like I hate guessing whether he's going to get up 10 shots or only 5. And he kind of feels like that player to me. So I don't really like taking that.
Marcus It's always a numbers game, brother. The line right now is universally at a 29.5. I'm seeing that, or 28.5. I'm seeing that on multiple books. So if you can get 27.5, I definitely like that more. We all know it's a numbers game. So if you can beat the final number by at least a full point, I do like that. So if you're getting a minus 110 at 27.5, I like it. But if you're getting a minus 140 or something crazy juiced, it's the same as the 28.5. Over to Footy Chancellor. What's up, Footy? We appreciate you tuning in, brother. Saying Cavs minus 6.5 is trappy. Quickly, I'll address this. So let's take a look at how teams have done against the spread this season. Cleveland and Toronto, believe it or not, the Toronto Raptors and Cleveland are tied for the best ATS record in basketball this year. They're both coming in 7-1 on the season, covering at 88%. So Cavs games have been a free lock. That's why when you see at a Cavs minus 6.5 / a minus 7, it's a little fishy. I agree with you because the Pelicans also haven't been great. I'm staying off that one because the game does seem like a trap. You would think that the Cavs would continuously just roll, but right now with the line being where it is, I'm not taking any action on that game. Quickly for this Nuggets and Thunder game, I have not given my pick out on this game yet. So I am going to be taking the Nuggets by the +7. I just think it's too many points at home. The Thunder have been good, like I've said, and I wouldn't be shocked if this one ended up late becoming a game that covers because of the back door. I could see the Thunder have a 10 to 15 point game for a big bulk of it, and the Thunder and the Nuggets come back late. It's exactly what I'm going to play. I just think the final score of this game will be within 6 points. So give me the Nuggets plus the 7. Not my favorite play today, but if I were to have to pick something on this game now before we got a little bit more injury news, that's exactly what I would play is the +7. All right, Ben. Oh, we have a good comment here from Parlay Prince. NBA games around 6.5 minus 7 are always a trap. You saw with the Lakers 2 days ago. Parlay Prince, that's a great point. That's an absolutely great point. That is not a great number in basketball that you want to bet as a favorite. That is a number you want to take as a dog pretty often. So you can kind of apply that to the Nuggets game as well. That's just a key number. So good call there. Great point. Then we have one more game that we're officially breaking down. But like we said, any other questions, we are here for you guys. We know it's only the two of us today, so it is a little bit of a shorter show. So we're trying to give you guys as many picks on as many games as possible. Ben, let's jump into the last game of the slate, which we're breaking down. The Philadelphia 76ers, who are coming in 1-5 on the year, who are going to LA, taking on the Clippers, who are 3-4 on the year. Per usual, Joel Embiid is not playing in this game. A little bit of a different situation. I'm not going to go too much into that, but that reporter is a pretty big douchebag. I'll put it that way. Paul George is a true game time decision, but I doubt he does play. This is against his old team. This may be one we see good old Paulie boy just back out. On the other side, no Kawhi Leonard. Shocker. He never plays. No Mo Bamba. No PJ Tucker. Ben, what do you got?
It's the last game of the day, and I'm gonna pull it out. Sometimes the best play is no play. I cannot get on the Clippers here without Leonard. And the Sixers, who show some bright moments. I know they're 1-5, but at least they've looked competitive in games to the point where I haven't seen anything from the Clippers that makes me love them. The Sixers have covered as underdogs twice in the last 4 games, and the Sixers, Paul George might play, he might not. He's going to play his old team if he does. But to that point, he's played 1 game now this year, and he shot 1 for 7 from 3, and they lost by 2 points. Arguably, him playing could have been the reason they lost. I know it's weird to say, but you kind of just threw him in for his first game. He's still got to mesh with a new team. It's his first year on the team. He comes in first game. He doesn't shoot well from 3, and they lose by a bucket. So honestly, him playing or not playing this game, I don't know how much it actually affects how the Sixers play. Maybe they play better without him. Just until they can at least figure it out. Obviously, it's not a season-long thing, but just until they kind of get meshed with him on the new team. So just no play for me. I'm not confident either way.
Any props you're liking in this game?
No, not really. Because on the Sixers side, we don't know if he's going to play, so he'll be taking up volume. If he does, you're kind of taking a guess. And then if you bet on Paul George, you're betting that he stays healthy for the whole game or plays a full amount of minutes. So I don't really like anything, even props-wise, in this game.
Yeah, I kind of feel similarly to you, especially with the drama going on with Philly right now and how they've started as a team. Philly has not been good at playing basketball this season. There's just no other way to put it. But surprisingly, they haven't been like that terrible against the spread. You would think that, with the record they have, they'd probably not cover yet, but they're 2-4, which, I mean, it's not great, but they haven't been that terrible. This is one I'm going to also be waiting for some injury news. The Paul George news is going to be super important to this one. If he does go, I'm probably going to take a Paul George prop because he's playing in his old arena. Probably going to want to show them that they probably should have given him more money to have him stay, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. You know the rules with that. So I do think he will have a big game if he does go. I just don't know if he will. Truthfully, I just don't know if he will. So for me, I am going to wait on this game. So I guess I can play the graphic as well. Sometimes the best play on a game is no play. Ben, do you have any other games you want to break down today? Any other plays before we dive into our best bets?
I do actually have another play. It's going to be on one of my favorite players from last year. If you guys follow my NBA props last year as well, I'm going to go back to him. Brandon Miller of the Charlotte Hornets. He's 18.5 points and assists tonight. I think he flies. I just want to make sure that line's updated. But he was one of my favorite players to take last year. It seems like the market didn't really catch up to him. And they're kind of discounting him here because of the injury he had. But he came back a few games ago, and he only put up 10 points against Minnesota, but that was a horrible matchup for him defensively with how Minnesota can defend the perimeter. And he likes to kind of shoot a lot of his shots mid-range and from the perimeter. So I think it's a much better matchup for him. The Pistons defense isn't that great. I do think there's going to be a lot of points in this game because they both like to run. So I think it's going to be kind of a good spot for him to get some volume, get his legs back under him. He is sitting at 16.5 points. If you just want to take points, I think he's going to hit that as well. He hasn't in a game yet this year, but this is arguably the best matchup for him. He's playing Houston, who has a good defense. He's played Boston, who has a great defense, and Minnesota. Those are the 3 games he's played, and 3 of maybe the toughest matchups for him. So tonight will be probably the breakout Brandon Miller night for the season.
It could be. It could be. I like Brandon Miller's game. We should see him have a big game. So I'm with that. Let's see if we can get that there. But Ben, let's get into our best bets. How many do you have for the people? Do you got 1? Do you got 2? Do you got 3? What do you got?
I got 3 because I'm going to do the Pacers. The first game we covered, I do think they're in a great spot. Paolo was basically the entire team the first time around, and they only won by 4 points at home. Now they're in Indiana. And then I like that Zach Edey at, I'll just say 10.5 for plus money because that seems like where the market's going right now anyway. 9.5 is pretty much gone. And if you do have it, it's pretty juiced. So 10.5 for Zach Edey points. And then the Brandon Miller one, we'll end with that one because I liked that one a lot. We covered a few other props, but I think I'm actually most confident on him, to be honest. So those 3.
I like it. I'm only have 2 for the people today. They're both going to be sides. I am taking the Indiana Pacers minus the 5. We went over the reasons earlier. And I'm also taking the Boston Celtics minus 6. I think we have an absolutely massive day from Jason Tatum and this Boston Celtics team. I'm also going to have some prop on the game. I'm either going to be taking Jason Tatum to be the leading scorer of the game at plus 100 or taking Jason Tatum over 29.5 points yet. I have not decided which one I'm going to go with yet. I'm going to see which ways the lines move. But just to put those out there, one of those 2 is going to count for a best bet for me. And guys, we have a comment from Footy. Barcelona under 3.5. Who are they playing today? Is it? If you tell me they're playing Bayern Munich, I'm ending the show. If you're telling me they're playing your favorite team and you're telling me it's an under, I'm not doing that. So you let us know. We can wait. Quickly, do we think Hallie is overrated as well, Ben? I do. I'm a Jalen Brunson guy. I think Brunson's better. So the people that say Halliburton is better, I don't really understand. I don't think he's super overrated. I think he's a decent player, but I definitely think he is a little bit overrated.
I don't think he's overrated from necessarily what he's supposed to be because now when you think of superstars, you think of guys that are putting up, 30, 35 points consistently. And that's just not who he really is. He's more of a passer. I think in his role as a point guard, he is a superstar because he's very, very good at facilitating that offense. And we've seen it when he's not out. Like, yeah, they have McConnell, who's actually really good himself. He's one of the better bench point guards in the league. But when Halliburton's out on the court, you can kind of just see from the way their offense flows. So in the sense of keeping the team together and running a really good offense, I would say Halliburton is. But I just think he's not your typical modern superstar putting up 30, 35 points every game. So I think yes and no, kind of.
Very good. I like it. Ben, one final question for you. I wasn't going to do it to you. I was going to let it go. I thought all morning, Ben, I was like, do I slam him for taking a minus 45.5 to start?
Yep. It was close. I think they won by 41.
They should have covered. I watched that game because
they were putting their pedal. They were continuing to score and increase the margin in the second half. And then the final few minutes, they literally just stopped playing. You would expect it when they're up 40. But typically, the entire second half, when you're doing that, you'd think you just finish the game out strong defensively. But the final 2 minutes was really the cover, and they just stopped carrying the final 2 minutes. So yeah,
I turned that game on at the very end just because I wanted to yell at you, and I even felt bad because you definitely should have got that cover in that game. I was with you. It should have went that way. JD's in the comments laughing too because he knows I've been debating all day, shitting on you about it. I decided not to. So Joe, thank you so much for putting that in there. I personally really appreciate it. But guys, that's going to do it for today's show. We had a fantastic show. Broke down all 5 NBA games. We did miss JD. He should be back tomorrow. We will see him soon. Ben, Any words from you before we get out of here? Because I have one more thing to say before we get out of here.
Play an NBA parlay and just with all the props we talked about and just hit it.
There we go. NBA parlay for the people. And guys, before we do get out of here, remember the college basketball bonanza from MoneyBall Metrics is still active. 50% off the all access package. Shoot them a DM. It's probably also pinned on the MoneyBall Metrics Twitter. I should probably know that, but I do not at the moment, so I apologize. If it's not, shoot MoneyBall Metrics DM. Get in the Discord. Have some fun. It's the best community, the best place to win bets, and the best people. We'll see you in there soon. Ben, it's going to do it for today's show, brother. It was a great show. We'll be back. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time, same place. Ben, smile.